Hello and welcome. I hope you're safe and well. Today's exciting episode, I am going to make a dress. I was going to make a layer cake dress, but it's kind of halfway between just, a dress with many different fabrics and a layer cake dress. Anyhow, I'm going to make that using this adorable McCall's pattern, and I'm also going to update you on my fabulous floral jacket. It's perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Perfect jacket. Okay, well, I am fascinated by this jacket, which I have been working on for like a week now. But I will put it aside and make the dress first because I've had a lot of requests for a dress with many different fabrics. And I was like, okay, yes, I can do that. It's much faster than making a jacket, that's for sure. So, these were the different types of each pile is a different dress. So this one is 2 yards of that sort of yellow and olive colored one and 2 yards of the floral, and I'm going to put them together in a dress. But actually I'm thinking I might add a third fabric that's sort of olive or fat quarters in olive, so maybe I'll put a pause on that one. These ones are adorable. They're from the kitchen from that movie 13 Going on 30, and I do like them together, ? No, I do, but it's 8 yards of fabric, and that's a mega maxi dress, so maybe we'll save that for another day. I do have these three, and I don't know, I'm having second thoughts. This is the one that I intended to do. When I got out all this stuff, I was like, for surezies, that's what I'm going to do. But now I'm having second thoughts. I love these vintage style florals, like love, 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 love. But I'm not sure that yellow one on the left, I'm not sure. Like they all have a sort of olivey, grey, sage twinge to the leaves, which I love, and I do think they'd go you can see how many of the tweeds they will go with because I love the color olive and khaki. So I was thinking maybe these three, but then I decided this sort of tropical one on the left, I'm not sure. I love this one. Love, 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 love. And it's a very light fabric, like it's a cotton lawn rather than I usually use quilting cottons, just because I like them. They're a bit more sturdy and I like them a bit more. These ones are a bit more grown up, and so I thought maybe I'll mix in the Liberty fabric. There is actually a quilting cotton. It's a Liberty design from Italy, printed in Italy, but it's on a quilting cotton. So I thought maybe I'd put them in because if you look up close, they've got that sagey, greyish olive colour for the leaves as well. But I don't know, it's a white base and it's got blue flowers, and at the moment I'm like, no. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, they look nice-ish. I love a floral clash, but I don't know. It's just not speaking to me, if you get what I mean. Like, I love the beige one with the red roses. Like, it's just a ridiculous print, but it reminds me so much of the wallpapers in various rooms in Amelie, that French movie from like a billion years ago, 20 years ago. Anyway, so then I was like, oh, okay, maybe I'll do that other dress. This is they're supposed to vaguely resemble this green wallpaper in that 13 Going on 30 movie. But then I also had these orange ones out. These two are Liberty prints. And on social media, there's been a reel about this fruit vendor, and he's selling like piles and piles of oranges, and he sees that a truck is going to give humanitarian aid to this country, which we must not say on YouTube, and so he just throws oranges at them, like in a good way, not like pelting them with oranges or anything, but he's like, oh, please feed them, we want them to be well. And anyway, so it was really nice thing to do. And so I think I might do the oranges. And also I think the other Liberty print goes well with it. So these are my three. I've cut up the fabrics, obviously. And I used to live in India for a while, so and they have, the fruit vendors have the same, like they set up on the roadside and they just have these big mounds of fruit, and a lot of them are just really nice people, but maybe that's why I liked it so much. Anywho, so I cut up these. Obviously, I'm using a lot of different fabrics, and I had about 2 yards of each fabric, or 2 meters of the Liberty ones, and which is basically a little bit more than 2 yards. So I just used sections of them, and then I've kept the rest aside. I guess I'll use them in something else. And then I machine sewed them together, so I had 3 tiers. First tier has 2 bits in it, the vintage rose and a Liberty, the orchard with the pheasant. The second one has the orangish one and the orange Liberty. And the third tier is the beige with the green little pattern on it, as well as all the rest of the orchid one, orchard one. Sorry. So it's orchard trees like pear trees, apple trees, and then underneath them, pecking the fallen fruit, are these pheasants. It's such a fabulous design. So Liberty of London is obviously, all the designs are done in London, but the cottons are printed in Italy. I think it must be like a Brexit thing, or a lot of quality, like a lot of the mills are in Europe, and particularly Italy. Anyway, so I machine sewed them together. So I had 3 big loops of fabric, and then so the top tier is 2 yards round, the second tier is 4 yards round, and the third tier is 8 yards round. So this is me pinning the first and the second tier together. The second tier is obviously twice as big, so you have to pleat it down. And here we go. And I was like, it's already very long. So this is going to be a super maxi dress. Like it's super long, but it's also, I don't know, I just love these all these colors together. Anyway, so this is my third tier, and here I'm showing you the little pheasants under the fruit trees. It's just I love this design. I'm not sure, like it's at my boots, like it's right at the bottom. There's a bit at my knees too, but yeah, I suppose when I'm sitting down, like I can pick up the hem and have a look at it. Anyway, so then tier 1 and 2 are a whole skirt, and so I had to pleat down tier 3 and attach it. And here we go. Yes, it's super long, but it's okay because the bodice of this dress is actually quite cropped. So this skirt does look ridiculously long. And well, I haven't hemmed it yet, but I do think I'm probably going to have to wear it with my boots. I've got my boots have I've got either heeled boots, quite a few pairs of those, or I've got boots that are like, I guess, combat boots, if you know what I mean, like the really chunky sole, and so it makes you a bit taller. Anyway, so now it's time to make the bodice, and I'm using that McCall's one. And yeah, I just was really careful in lining up the front, because the orange trees, they're very, very, like the pattern's very symmetrical, but it's it had sort of 2 rows, and then it changed, like it didn't have a center, so we either had to put it off center or yeah, anyway, I like it. And then I had to attach the dress, like the skirt, to the bodice. Once I'd done the bodice, I used the burrito method for the bodice, but I was a little lazy. I didn't film it. So I've got loads of other episodes where I show you step by step how to do a burrito method. And there we go. This is one of my favorite dresses. I know I say that every time I make a new dress, but these are just like, they're really subtle but beautiful at the same time. I think in this, I probably should have moved my Barbie floral jacket out of the picture, because it sort of makes everything else look a little beige and a little boring. But yeah, this dress is absolutely lovely. And I have this Burberry ribbon, you know, that check that's beige with white and a little bit of red and cream in there. So I use that as I cut off a length of that and use that as the belt or the sash for this dress, and it just looks absolutely adorable. I'll pin up the skirt in the next thing, and you can see how absolutely massive it is. It's so good to, like, I was tempted to do, like, so it's the 3 tiers are 2 yards, 4 yards, 2 yards, 4 yards, 8 yards. And I was tempted to do like less in each, instead of doing 2 sections in the first tier, 2 sections in the second tier, and 2 sections in the third tier. I was tempted to just do 1 in each section and then add a 16-yard loop at the bottom, but it would have been a little bit too much. I would have used up more of the fabric, but I feel like I already used a lot of the fabric. Anyway, here it is. I do have quite a bit left, but I love this bodice. It is so cute. I wasn't sure, like, I was thinking maybe I would do like a strip of each of the fabrics, sew them together, and then cut the bodice out of that. But I'm so glad I ended up doing just the orange one, because it's such a beautiful, I mean, they're all beautiful fabrics. They go really well together. They're different enough that they sort of grumble with each other, you know. There's like, you know, they're not perfectly matched, so your eye doesn't go, oh yeah, that's boring, and doesn't notice anything. They're different enough that your eye goes, what is going on here? So you sort of notice each one. I really like it when that happens. It's very, yeah, that all my favorite Chanel tweeds that I have that element to them. So yes, as I said, I do have a lot of leftover fabric, so I think I'll make layer cake dresses out of that. A difference between this dress that I made and a layer cake dress is that a layer cake dress is like, there's just a couple of inches in each band of fabric rather than like a foot. So yeah. Anyway, onto the jacket. Spoiler alert, this is what it currently looks like. So I have done a lot of work to it, but we will go back to those squiggly dream lines, and we'll go back to, I can't even remember when. I did an episode where I actually made the jacket. And before I put the sleeves on, because setting the sleeves is quite difficult. So I was like, I will procrastinate by beading. And then, so I did a bit of beading, and then I eventually put the sleeves in, and I had to finish the episode before, like, I still had over half of the beads to go. So they're sort of all pinks and hot pinks. And there's sort of this other pink in there as well. And there's quite a few different pinks, obviously. But incredibly, I'd already used up half the flowers at this point. I just, like, people keep asking me, oh my gosh, where did you buy them from? Like, as if I bought the whole bag just as is. No. For the past decade, like, every time I see a bead store, whatever country I was in, I would just go in and buy one of this, you know, one little bag of this, one little jar of that. And oh my goodness, it adds up over the years. For a while, I was just like, oh, I filled my box. I'll just get another box. And so I just, a few years ago, I looked at my bead collection, and it was just like boxes of random things. So that's when I did my original KonMari of my bead collection, and I got them all out, and I put them all on the benches and the side tables and everything, and also on the floor because there's so many of them. And then I put them back in color coordinated order. So there was like this big storage container of all the orange ones and apricot ones, and another storage container for the light blue and mid blue. And then I had a separate one for the dark blue. And yeah, I have used a lot of beads since then. And my beads are still a mess at the moment. They really are. But I keep threatening to KonMari my beads again, but it just takes so long, and you need so much space. So you can't really have a project that you're doing and then stop, do some work on the bead KonMari episode. And as you can see, I'm just adding more and more beads. It just takes ages, but if I just do a couple of hours here or there, And a lot of people say, how on earth do you find the time? And I'm like, well, you go out to dinner and I stay home. I buy beads with that money and stay home and bead. So it's just different priorities. And of course, there's just, I don't know. I feel like there's world events at the moment that I just have to keep abreast of like 24/7. So listening to podcasts and commentaries and things like that. So yeah, it's something I do when I'm listening to all that. Or you just read back work that you're doing and you can work with your hands, because I've been beading since I was a little kid. So I don't know. It's kind of, I like these floral ones though, because it's kind of like gardening, when you plant flowers and you're like, you have to wait for spring for all the flowers to pop up and you're like, yay, I planned it out really well. Whereas when you do use your flower beads on a jacket, you're like, and this is going to be the daisy section and this is going to be the other pink section, and then I'm going to have some little tulips here. It's so much fun, and you can like instantly see what your little garden is going to be like. It's it entertains me, what can I say? And it uses up my beads too. And I like these ones that the most common one in there, that sort of dusty hot pink one. They sort of look like individual hydrangea flowers to me. And I'm not sure about those big weird daisy ones that are sort of shimmery. In retrospect, I don't think, like, I've got them in orange and yellow and green and blue as well. So when I do the flower bead jackets in the other colours, I don't know whether I'll include them or not. I think the pink ones are the most different than the rest of the beads in this jacket. So I think that was the problem. And here I'm just showing you how they're like, there's layers and layers of different heights, and it's just sort of building it up slowly. So that's the thing when you're using a substantial amount of beads. You have to do them in layers. You can't go, oh, I'm just going to add all the beads here to this section, then I'm going to move on to the next section, I'm going to add all the beads there. It carries the weight better if you do a thin layer, then another thin layer, then another thin layer. And personally, I think it looks more realistic too, because it's the way flowers grow. Like, some are like, I'm ready now, I'm going to shine. And then, as they start to wilt and fade, then another one will pop up and go, it's my time to shine. So, yeah. And as you can see, the torso of the jacket here is pretty good. Still haven't done the neckline, and the sleeves are looking a bit not great. And also these sections under, sort of not under the arm, but around the arm, around the underarm, those bits need to be done too. I love the look of this fabric when it's finished, but it's so difficult to work on because it's basically like a really, really thin rubber. It's foil that's, and then they've used fabric glue to glue it to mesh. And foil and mesh are just fabrics that shouldn't be together in the first place. And yeah, and it just sort of makes it rubbery because they're glued together. So it's really weird. You have to use very sharp needles. You have to go in at a right angle when you're beading through. And this is me resorting all the beads so that I can see what I've got left to do. Because I wasn't sure. At first I was like, maybe I'll just use half the beads and save the rest for something else. And then I was like, oh God, can you imagine having two jackets like this? The whole point of making a unique jacket is that it's unique. That said, if you've seen any of my collections videos, you'll know that I do sometimes buy, if I really like a tweed, or like when I buy a tweed, sometimes I'm like, I get two really, really awesome ideas for beading it, and I'll happen to have both sets of beads, so I'm like, okay, I'm going to buy 2 meters of that tweed, because tweeds are often European, so they're metric. And yeah, and this is me putting the beads on the sleeves. Oh my gosh, I use this old pattern that's got baggier sleeves than the Vogue 7975, which is the better jacket pattern, so that I'll have a little bit more room to get my hand in these sleeves. But still, oh my goodness, it's so difficult. When the fashion houses like Dior and Chanel make fully beaded jackets, fully embellished jackets like these ones, well, not like this, obviously, there's a classier. I mean, this is classy in its own way. I think you're adorable, jacket. I think you're very adorable. Anyway, so what was I saying? Oh, yeah, so when they do it, because couture is you know what France is like. They're one of their the things that the country makes most money from is creative industries. So everything is regulated, and I was getting a bit hot pinked out because all the beads are either red or hot pink in the other one. So I took a little time to work. I think I did a little bit of work on this. Oh, and that's I'm going to make another jacket that has sequin flowers on it. When you're beading, you have a lot of time to think. So in between each podcast or between each television program, whatever news program I'm watching, I do other stuff as well. But and then I did another episode. The last episode I did wasn't the most compelling episode I've ever done, but it was just sort of I went through these are all the fabrics that I pulled after watching 13 Going on 30. They're all the ideas I had from watching that movie. So I really do not have enough time to make them all, but I got them out anyway because I don't know, as soon as I decide I want to make something, I'm like, oh my gosh, that'd be awesome. And then I think of like 5 or 6 different ways that I could beat it. And I feel like I started 10 different conversations and I haven't finished any of them. Oh, Chanel and Dior beading. So France has these regulations about if you want to be a couture fashion house, you have to you can't do the beading in-house. You have to design the garment in-house. You have to make a mock-up in-house, and then you have to cut out the pieces, and then you have to send the pieces out to an embroidery house, and they're under a different union sort of thing. And then they do the embellishment. And then once it's got all the beads on it, then it comes back to Dior or Chanel. And then you hand stitch the pieces together or you machine sew them together. And then the house, like Chanel or Dior, is allowed to bead over the seams, but they're not allowed to do the embellishment work proper, if you get what I mean, the large slabs of it. So, so I thought I might at some point make a piece the way that a Chanel or Dior was like a designer piece is made in France using the French laws. But I'm just going to be doing all the bits myself. So there's no actual point. And it's stronger if you make the jacket first, then do all the beading over it. But maybe I'll do it for one just to say that I've done it. Anyway, at this point, I was running low of things, but I still have quite enough seed beads. The small beads are called seed beads to get everything right. And these are all the flower beads that I have left. And I was like, actually, that looks a bit messy. What I'm going to do is sort them all out, and then you'll be able to see what I've got. So I sort of, at first I was like half committed to it and just sort of pushed them in general areas. And then I was like, no, I'm going to line them all up. So they're in little stacks, like 5 or 6. And, I had to put this out of the way on the back there. So I've still got, this is me showing you which each beads look like. Because when you see them flat on the table, that's the ones I just showed you. They look so different. And then when you see them in the actual jacket, so I used one of that sort of mauvey coloured bead, then that clear bead, teardrop bead, then a mauvey coloured one, then a seed bead. And these are those dusty rose ones that I think look like individual hydrangea flowers. And then the see-through hot pink ones, I don't know, they're a little bit weird. I've also got them in see-through transparent reds, and I think the transparent red look better. So again, I've done transparent red, then a seed bead, transparent red, then a seed bead. So I sort of stack them instead of just doing one, and it gives it, I don't know, it just looks more interesting and textural, or, you know, if some people think the jacket looks lumpy. I mean, you know, maybe you're just not my target audience. But yeah, so I think I done the neckline at this point. That was really difficult to do. I had to hand stitch it into place. And yeah, there's so many tiny flowers in this. They're like just the smaller than your thumb, like your fingernail. They're tiny, tiny, tiny. And as you can see, I've only got like 5 of the hot pink tulip ones left. I've used all the rest, and this is how you put them on. To make a stem, you put 4 seed beads, then you put the flower bead, then you put another seed bead on the top, and then you sort of pull it through, then bring your needle back down, and obviously you don't go through the top one because that's holding everything on, but you go through everything else and back through under the jacket, and then you come up again and you do another flower, and you do that like thousands and thousands of times over. So yes, and I really like the mix of the red and the hot pink. I think if I just used pinks, like there were sections where it was just all different pinks and there was no red in there, and I ended up going back and putting some red in there because you sort of need that contrast. As I was saying with the dress, you sort of need the contrast so your eye can sort of knows that there's a difference, and it doesn't, yeah, it knows to look at each individual thing. And some of them are a little bit orangey, so I made sure to put the darker red ones near the orangey ones. And it's, yeah, I think the contrast is really nice. And this is me just showing you, like, there's a lot of hanging things on the sleeves. I actually left the jacket on the mannequin and worked on it that way. It was, yeah, the sleeves are really, really difficult to do. And this is me showing you the red beads and some of those lily ones that are cone shaped, sort of. Here they are at the top of the back. I've since put some more on there, I think. But yeah, and at the top again, I love the reds mixed in with the hot pink. I think it's beautiful. See what I mean about those 5 daisy weird pink big ones? I don't think they're the most beautiful ones in the piece, but they are a stark contrast to everything else. So they sort of help you see that there's like dozens of different types of flowers in there. So in that respect, I think it's good that they're in there. Maybe, I guess. So yeah, now that I've shown you them all, I sort of have to scooch them all over to the side, and these are my needles. I'm kind of lazy. I thread like 10 or 20 or 30 needles, and I stick them all in those tweeds over at the sideboard. You probably saw them, noticed them before, and yeah. And so I thread all my needles, and then I can just work on it and listen to stuff, and or just, you know, work in silence and think. But here we go. And yeah, it is a lot of work. I won't pretend it's not. So this is a bag of, like, yeah, after I buy things and I've had them for a few years, I get bored and I just start mixing things together. So I've got all these random mix. Oh, and then I put it near the jacket so you can see size-wise, like comparison, how big the bag is. So it's quite large, and that's going to be a separate jacket. That one I think we're going to do on a rose gold base because I think that would look nice. And I also have this sequin fabric, yeah, because as I said, I hate this metallic fabric, the hot pink one that I'm working on at the moment. I think the next one I'll do maybe 3 layers of structure at the back, plus a sequin fabric, so it's going to be a much sturdier jacket. It will be tricky to stitch into, but that's okay. I think that will be better than it being that annoying foil fabric. So yeah, anyway, I'll get back to the hot pink one now. And yeah, I've got all these, some of them are plastic, most of them are glass. But, oh, and then I just took another one of a few photos of this one before I put them away. I really like the latte sequin fabric. It's sort of halfway between gold and brown. It's actually called latte, so that's why I just thought it was nice. And I think that this mix of colours is, I did the last style episode I talked about it in that. And yeah, I think that jacket's going to be cool. Anyway, so yeah, then I ended up having to put the jacket aside again to make this lovely dress, which I'm staring at it now. It's behind the screen that I'm working on when I'm doing this voiceover, and it's adorable. I really love that dress. And so, yeah, now it is time to get back to the hot pink monstrosity. It's just so bright, and there is so much detail in this piece. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed. I will show you the finished pink jacket eventually. But for now, ta-da! Here's my pretty new dress. Thanks again for watching this video. I hope you've been inspired to use up all your scraps of fabric to make a gorgeous dress, because, yeah, I love dresses with all different fabrics in them. They're so fun. Anyway, thanks again for watching, and happy sewing.